Thank you for joining us on Sozo Firm Insights with our host, Andrew Jensen.
Signs that a nonprofit board of directors is not doing its job. When donors evaluate nonprofit organizations, they often focus on the mission, programs, and visible outcomes. Those factors certainly matter. However, one of the most important indicators of a nonprofit's effectiveness is something many donors rarely examine: the quality of the organization's board of directors. A nonprofit board of directors is responsible for governing the organization, overseeing finances, setting strategy, and ensuring that leadership remains accountable to the mission. When a board is engaged and effective, it helps guide the organization toward long-term success. When it is not, the consequences can include poor financial management, ineffective programs, and loss of donor trust. For donors who want to give wisely, it can be helpful to recognize some warning signs that a nonprofit board may not be functioning effectively. 1. The board rarely appears in the organization's public communications. A healthy nonprofit typically highlights its board members on its website and in annual reports. Transparency about governance demonstrates accountability and allows donors to see who is responsible for overseeing the organization. When an organization provides little or no information about its board members, it may indicate weak governance or limited engagement from the board. Donors should be able to easily find board member names, professional backgrounds, and leadership roles. Organizations that prioritize transparency often share governance information through platforms such as candid and charity evaluation resources like Charity Navigator. 2. The same individuals have served on the board for many years without rotation. Board continuity can be beneficial, but effective governance also requires fresh perspectives and independent oversight. If the same small group of individuals has served on the board for a decade or more without turnover, the board may become insular and less willing to challenge leadership. Healthy nonprofit boards typically implement term limits that encourage renewal while maintaining institutional knowledge. Regular board rotation also reduces the risk of conflicts of interest or excessive influence by a small group. A lack of board turnover can sometimes signal that governance practices have become stagnant. 3. Board members have limited relevant experience. Nonprofit boards should include individuals who bring meaningful skills to the organization. Effective boards often include professionals with expertise in areas such as finance, law, fundraising, program management, or the nonprofit's specific field of work. If the board consists largely of friends of the executive director, individuals with little relevant expertise, or people selected primarily for social connections, the board may struggle to provide effective oversight. Strong boards function as strategic advisors and independent stewards of the mission. Without the right mix of skills and perspectives, they may not be able to fulfill these responsibilities. 4. The organization lacks clear financial transparency. Financial transparency is one of the most visible indicators of responsible governance. Competent nonprofit boards ensure that accurate financial information is available to donors and the public. Donors should be able to access annual reports, audited financial statements, or at minimum, the organization's Form 990 filing. These documents reveal how funds are raised, allocated, and managed. If a nonprofit is reluctant to share financial information or provides only vague summaries without supporting documentation, it may suggest weak oversight from the board. Independent charity watchdogs such as the BBBY's Giving Alliance encourage nonprofits to make these materials readily accessible to the public. 5. The board appears to simply approve whatever leadership proposes. A board's role is not to manage day-to-day operations, but it must provide independent oversight of the executive leadership team. Effective boards ask questions, review strategy, monitor risks, and hold leadership accountable for results. If board meetings exist primarily to approve management decisions without discussion or scrutiny, the board may not be exercising its fiduciary responsibilities. This dynamic can lead to strategic mistakes, financial mismanagement, or mission drift over time. Donors rarely see board meetings directly, but signs of passive governance often emerge through a lack of strategic clarity, inconsistent messaging, or recurring operational problems. 6. The organization experiences frequent leadership or strategic instability. Frequent changes in executive leadership, sudden shifts in strategic direction, or recurring internal crises may indicate deeper governance issues. Strong boards provide stability and long-term guidance for the organization. When a board is ineffective or disengaged, leadership transitions can become chaotic and strategic priorities may constantly change. For donors evaluating nonprofits, patterns of instability can be a signal that the board is not providing the steady oversight the organization needs. My 2 cents. Why board governance matters to donors. Nonprofit boards serve as the guardians of an organization's mission and resources. When they function effectively, they help ensure that donor contributions are used responsibly and strategically. For donors who want their contributions to have lasting impact, paying attention to governance can be just as important as evaluating programs or fundraising efficiency. A well-governed organization is far more likely to deliver meaningful results over the long term. Understanding the role of the board and recognizing warning signs when governance is weak can help donors make more informed decisions about where their support will make the greatest difference.
You've been listening to Sozo Firm Insights. For over 20 years, we've been providing strategic growth and leadership insights for businesses, nonprofit organizations, government agencies, and higher education institutions. Thank you for joining us.